Hello, everybody. My name is Nicole Curtis. I'm from the She Rises Studios team, and I am here with three beautiful ladies who have co-authored in our book that released December 13 called Becoming an Unstoppable Woman in Health and Wellness. And what better way to end the 2022 year with a conversation that we are going to provide for you tonight and just kind of share a little bit of how we as women, as co-authors in this book, are really focusing on healing our mind, body, and soul. And we're going to do a discussion panel. So I have some questions prepared to ask these ladies, and I cannot wait for them to share their information, their knowledge with you to help you not just end 2022, but go into 2023 with a healed mind, body, and soul. So with that, I'm going to kick it off to Kim. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself. And the first question I'm going to throw at you is one way that you believe women can heal their mind. So if you want to introduce yourself and then answer the question, that would be amazing.
Okay, so I'm Kim Rendon, and I am from Hart, Michigan, and I am a coach for perimenopausal women. So I love to work in that whole realm and deal with all of that. My one of my specialties is gut health, and that's part of healing the mind because there's that gut brain connection. If your gut isn't healthy, your brain isn't healthy. Issues with depression are can actually be rooted down into the gut. So working on getting your gut healthy by eating the right foods, taking probiotics and prebiotics, and oh boy, my mind just went blank. Um, Reducing stress. There we go. Getting the right amount of sleep. That's so important in helping you to heal your mind and get that all straightened out.
Oh, I love that. I think that's so important, Kim. And I think sometimes us women, we're so busy with everything that we forget that you don't just feed your mind, you have to feed your body, and your gut being one of them. So I really appreciate you emphasizing on that. Katie, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? And then if you want to answer the first question, what is one way women can heal their mind?
Yes, absolutely. My name's Katie Merkel. I'm based in San Diego, but I am an online health coach for women, and I help women sync their nutrition and fitness with their menstrual cycle, with their hormones, because a lot of women don't know that our hormones change all month long. I'm sure you feel these fluctuations, but you might not know what's going on, and that you can really utilize that to not only make like weight maintenance easy, balance out your energy, but literally get rid of PMS. So that's what I help women do. Um, when I think about healing your mind, it comes from a lot of angles because, yes, totally exactly what Kim was saying. Like, the gut is so connected to the mind. And so, what we're putting in our body matters so much, but also what we are telling ourselves and we're putting in our mind. So, I like to have my ladies practice active reframing because I have a lot of women who can mention stress, and stress, like, that causes your cortisol to go up. When your cortisol goes up, like, everything is ruined. Like, you're going to retain water, you're going to hold on to fat because your body thinks it's in trouble, you're not going to sleep well because your body thinks it needs to be on alert. And so we live in this world that tells us to be like, stress is a good thing. Like, if you're stressed, you're working hard enough, and if you're not stressed, you're probably not. So we let ourselves like build up the stress when it's not totally necessary. And so when we can actively reframe and look at a situation where all of a sudden we're starting to feel triggered and stressed, and our shoulders raise and our voices go quicker, um, if we can pause and say, like, okay, is this actually going to help me in this situation? How am I viewing this through a type of lens? Is there something from my past, from earlier in the day, that's affecting the situation? And turning that into, how can I utilize the situation? How can we actually move through it? Can actually start to bring down a lot of that stress, start to solve the issues that were really, not that there aren't real issues in life, but a lot of the issues that we are self-perpetuating. And I find a lot of women find a lot of peace and they don't feel so scattered when they can actively reframe in the moment.
Oh, I love that, Katie. I got goosebumps.
Oh.
Oh, I appreciate you sharing that. It's such valuable information, especially I think with around the holiday season. You know,
Absolutely.
as women, we're busy. We have so many different hats that we're wearing, especially as business owners. That the weight that we're carrying, or we believe that we need to be carrying. So, man, I really appreciate you sharing that, Michelle. If you could go ahead and introduce yourself, and then answer one way that women can heal their mind.
Absolutely. I'm Michelle Klein. I am owner and operator of Klein Hospitality. And what I do is coaching, organizational behavior, and then I work one on one with leaders. And it's very interesting what you just mentioned, Nicole, because you said that we get to this time of the year where we are so busy and there's so much going on. And if there is one thing that I work with my clients on is understanding that time is cyclical. It doesn't need to be linear. And when you look at time from a linear perspective, you think it's December. We got to get everything done. So you have to go to all these parties and all these networking events. And that adds to the stress, right? And when kids stress us, then everything else doesn't go to plan. Remind me the question again.
What is one way women can heal their mind?
Yes. So I think that the best thing to do, or the first step from my perspective or my professional perspective in the leadership spectrum, is becoming aware. When we become aware, then we're able to accept. And when we're able to accept is when we're able to start looking at the various ways that we can make change. Whether it is looking at the bigger picture and breaking it into bite-sized objectives, right? Whatever that looks like is, I think it starts with awareness and it follows with, how do I get past this by accepting that I have control or I don't have control or I have control over this. So these are the steps that I need to take, and then taking action, obviously.
No, I love that. And I actually would like to piggyback on that, because how I was going to answer the question for me is when the stresses occur, when we're so wrapped up in believing that we have to be superwoman and do everything and have to make sure everything goes accordingly to plan. For me, how I have helped myself in healing my mind is actually time blocking. Because for me, there's a lot of times where I get so consumed or get so busy doing everything that the most important things I find that I do last, and the least important things I do first. And in doing the projects or doing whatever I'm working on in life and in business, having a certain time laid out for when I can focus on things actually helps me decrease my stress and the anxiety and that urgency and that feeling of like I'm failing, or that, things just aren't getting done accordingly. For me, how I've healed my mind is allowing myself, and saying to myself, okay, so I have this amount of time, 45 minutes, and what I get done is what I get done, and when I don't, it's okay. And giving myself that permission to do that has been one of the things that has helped me. To introduce myself, hi, my name is Nicole Curtis. I'm part of the leadership team at She Rises Studios, but I'm also a huge advocate for moms with teens that are struggling with mental health. So I currently have a 17-year-old daughter that has dealt with mental health, anxiety, depression, attempted suicide a few different occasions in the last 5 years. And I'm a huge advocate for moms that have kids that struggle with that, because one of the things that I have learned in my journey as a mom, providing support and assistance and dedication to my child, is we as moms, we can get so caught up and lost in helping our child. And so I created a mental check-in list for moms to help them while they're in that process, helping their child, that they also need to help their selves, and that they have to make sure that their mental health is being taken care of and a priority as well. So that's a little bit about me. So the next question that I'm really, really excited to dive into is, I would love for each one of you to share one tip to help women heal their emotions. So with that, Kim, I'm going to call on you.
Okay. One of my favorite ways to heal my emotions is with craniosacral therapy, and going and having that done, because that helps move energy blocks around. And I know I've had some like really fantastic releases, that as we hold emotions and trauma in our body, it just sits there. It's not just in our mind, but it's in our body too. And releasing those blocks really help with the emotions. And I just see how much different I am, how I feel, how I deal with life, as I've gotten rid of some of those, even though it's like, it's, internal in the body in a certain spot, but it's still, it's significantly impacted the emotional part of me too.
I've never heard of that before, Kim.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Um, you're laying there and it's just light touch.
Oh,
And she kind of goes up like along the different chakra energy spots,
okay.
and she'll hold there, and you can feel like
Wow.
it feels like she's moving. Or the last time I went, I had just such a stressful summer, and I told her, I'm like, I just cannot think straight anymore. And she was like, had her hands over my head, and I could just feel the energy waves and the heat that just came out. And
Wow.
yeah, when I got done, I was like, the world
Oh,
is so much quieter
well,
now.
I appreciate you sharing that, because I've never heard of it before. And wow, what a way to decompress your
Oh yeah,
mind and your body.
yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Thanks, Kim, for sharing that. Katie, um, if you could share a tip to help women heal their emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. And craniosacral is amazing. And it literally puts your head back on straight as they walk up. That's kind of, I'm a holistic health practitioner as well. And that was one of my favorites, because you, like Kim was saying, just you will work through some things on that table. When you have a release, it's one of the most like amazing moments. So if you've never tried craniosacral, absolutely recommend it. Super amazing. When it comes to healing emotional health, knowing there's so much to emotions, we've all been on our own unique journeys, and so really knowing what your triggers are, and then having something that recenters you back to your truth. So like for me personally, saying like, it's not happening now, because we've all experienced our own unique traumas, and everybody's worst day is their own worst day. And so just knowing whatever that is for you, being able to identify that, and then telling yourself it's not happening now. Like where we are now is in the present. And then realizing, is that thing serving you? So is allowing that trauma to hold any power and space in your life actually serving you, or is it holding you back? And so being able to identify that, and having that thing, like that mantra, to move you through that, that's been extremely helpful in my emotional healing. And it's something that you can just so quickly check in with. And I think adding in with that is just breath, being able to take a moment and pause and identify. And like Michelle was saying, being aware of how you're feeling and those emotions. Are you still in line with your personal brand book? Are you deviating away from that? And being able to identify that and ask if that's serving you. And then if it's not, using your mantra to kind of move you through that.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Katie, for sharing.
Yeah.
Michelle, what's
So for
one
me,
tip?
I'm in a whole different, I feel like I should be in a different room, right? I'm in a whole different area within coaching and helping people. So I help people grow. And for me, it has to do with, one of my most favorite tips is working on creating a list of from that specific situation, what are the things that you learned? So reframing. Of I am feeling this way because this happened is working the other way around, where now we create a list of what are all the positive things that I get out of exactly what just happened. And then being able to embrace that. And then next step, coming up with where are those areas that moving forward I could potentially utilize these learnings to propel me to the next level. So that helps you evolve, and it helps you, get to a better stage. I think that's a great way to do it. What about you, Nicole?
Yeah, no, I love that, Michelle. So I kind of agree with you a little bit, being in the room. But for me, mine's kind of like a two-part answer a little bit is how I help women heal their emotions is one, allowing them to take responsibility for their emotions, but also celebrating their emotions. So it's kind of a two-part answer to that question. What I mean with responsibility is when you're feeling angry or vulnerable or scared, or frustrated, really taking responsibility for that feeling, but then allowing yourself to dive deeper into why. Why am I feeling this way? What is happening around me that's making me feel this way? But then also going deeper of, well, how can I change that? And an example I use is, I have teenagers in my house. And so effective communication is something that we're working on together. And there's times where I'm communicating with my teens and I notice that my voice goes up. I notice that I get agitated and irritable. And sometimes my volume will go to yelling once in a while, just being honest. And there's times where I take a step back, I take responsibility for my emotion of why am I coming off this way and why am I feeling this way? And then taking a step back of what can I cause and adjust? What can I change? And how can I go into this situation differently? Because I know I'm going to have a conversation probably in 10 minutes again with my teenagers. So what can I do and what can I start implementing to have a better conversation with my child? One that they know that they're loved, they're valued, they're being listened to, they're heard, and appreciated and also respected. I think in our household, that's something that's really important. So I'm not a perfect mom. I don't think there is any perfect mom, but that's just one way and why I say responsibility of don't just keep letting some cycles continue. Take responsibility for the emotion that you're feeling and work through that and allow yourself to work through that. And with celebrations, when you are, I think as us women, we're always evolving and growing. I mean, that's what we strive to do, I believe. And when you're working at something really hard and evolving and growing and changing with your emotions, because I think us women are very, we're emotional creatures. That's just kind of where we come from a little bit, in my opinion. That when you're working through things and you realize or you're taking notice that changes are occurring and happening, celebrate that, because everything in life takes work. And when you're moving and processing and developing and evolving, it's exhausting, but celebrate yourself when you have hit that milestone, so to speak, or you're realizing that change is occurring. Because I think sometimes we get so busy or we're so focused on the moment at that time that you really don't take a step back and I had this aha moment just the other day having a conversation with my husband. I took the step back and I'm like, wow, I would have probably handled that way different about a month ago. Right. And just celebrating myself and having better communication and the emotions that come from that. So that's a little bit of my answer with helping share a tip. So Kim, we're going to go right to the third question of how do you identify emotional and mental triggers?
That's a hard one. Because I'm terrible about identifying them in myself until I'm like losing it too.
Oh, I think we've all been there. I mean, in all honesty.
Yeah. How do I identify them? guess how it makes you feel when you feel that anxiety, the panic, when that starts happening and
Yeah.
feel all that going on.
hmm No, I agree. So for me, I'll just kind of jump in here and
Yeah.
answer the question. It goes right along with what you were saying. How I identify it for me, my hair stands up. Like I
Mm,
and I get chills. And when that happens, that's when I've noticed and realized that there's either I when that happens, I have to stop and I have to breathe and then I have to reflect. Is this mental or is this emotional? And then I have to give myself permission to walk through that because I think that's the process of how we grow, right? How we change habits, how we strive to be better than who we were yesterday or even just this morning, right? So that's kind of piggyback. We'll tag team this question, Kim.
yeah.
To
Yeah.
kind of piggyback on that, that's kind of how I identify emotional and mental triggers for me is when my hair stands up and I just get the chills, and then I just have to stop and pause and reflect to figure out which one it is and why, and then be able to work through that. Katie, how
Yeah.
would you answer that?
Totally. And I kind of look at it in two ways where there's acute triggers and there's chronic triggers. So,
Mm,
especially when it comes to business, but acute triggers, a lot like you were saying, like the hair stands up, these like sympathetic things that are turning on really quick, like you get anxious and the shoulders rise, or you start to come to this guarded place, or your mind is rushing all of a sudden. You can't stay like as focused or present in the moment because your body is like hyper to all the things going on. And so knowing those acute things, but I think so I kind of mentioned like what I call your personal brand book. And so knowing like, are you somebody who's connection driven? And so you're always typically reaching out to people and you like to be around people and you're an organized person. And so your place is usually organized and your desk is organized. And all of a sudden, you're not reaching out to people. You're kind of like being secluded. You're not really trying to initiate conversations. Your place is getting a little messy. And you like just don't really care. Like, obviously, things happen in life, but those are triggering as well, too, that you're not taking
Mm,
care of yourself. And so, noticing that you've started to become chronically triggered, you're chronically overstressed to the point where you're not actually checking in, you're not holding true to you. So I think you kind of need to be able to identify, especially for women entrepreneurs, especially the women that are holding so many hats. Like it's so amazing to me that like the moms in here that like I can't imagine adding kids to all of these things and being able to do that and run businesses and do everything that you have to do. And we often, as women, we put ourselves last. And so we don't even realize that we are triggered in a sense on this like chronic idea until it's a little too late. Like you're saying, we're all at that final point. And so being able to notice those little changes in yourself, and if you're still holding true to who you are and your personality is and your lifestyle is. So I think knowing both of those and being able to bring yourself back to ground zero, kind of through the things we've talked about with the emotional and mental healing from today, and just
mhm.
making sure that you have that plan identified uniquely for you, because everybody is so different and returning to what that is looks so different for everybody. So I literally write that stuff out and I reassess like, what is my brand book? Am I holding true to that? And if not, why? And what do I need to do to get back to that? Or do I need to rewrite it? Like, has life changed? So
I
um,
love that, the brand book.
thank you.
That is awesome. I'm assuming you came up with that.
No,
Oh,
that was what is Diana Lynn Bailey's husband. I was listening to him speak. Why is his first name blanking on me?
no,
Obviously,
that's
his
okay.
first name is Bailey,
I kind
but
of threw you on the spot.
no, it's okay. But yeah, the
The
Diana
brand
Lynn
book.
Bailey's husband. So he actually spoke about that at a conference I was at, and I just latched onto that because I was really
Yeah.
re-identifying myself. I had been through a huge life stress event. I was kind of lost in what that was, and so that hit me so deeply. And so now, like, I immediately that night went back to the hotel room, wrote out my brand book, and like sat there and meditated on like, who am I? What identifies me? Who do I want to be? Because we can always, something he said was like, you can always rewrite and redefine your brand, just like you can in a business. You can do that for
Yeah.
yourself as well. So I wish I could claim that,
No, I
but
love that.
thank you.
Michelle.
I'm gonna piggyback on everything that Katie said. I agree with all everything she said, and I was gonna speak to that. And I think that all has a lot to do with the first step, which is becoming aware, right? Now, how do we take it a step further, which is along the lines of finding the pattern? Look for those patterns. And sometimes the patterns will be shared by people around us, right? I work with leaders who have hundreds sometimes of team members or specific direct reports, and there's always this one situation that will trigger a behavior. And like Katie was saying, behavior could come from something that you've learned or you have experienced in the past. But if you're able to find those patterns, what are those situations where this comes back, right? This comes back. Like having the awareness of feeling it in your body, like you were saying, Nicole, that's high level. But not everyone is there. Not everyone is able to read their body in such being so in tune with what one feels from a physical standpoint. Unfortunately, when the triggers happen and we experience that, either communicating the wrong way or behaving the wrong way, or perhaps not making the right decision, or a decision that could have been different, looking at what happened. Is there a pattern between all those instances where your behavior changed? So I think that opening up to listening to those around us, understanding what the people around you are experiencing with your own behavior is important too, because it'll help you determine what the pattern looks like in order to figure out what those triggers are.
Yeah, great point, Michelle. Thank you for sharing that. So our last we have a bonus question, and I'm really excited to see how you ladies answer it. What does becoming an unstoppable woman in health and wellness mean to you? And Kim, I'm going to start with you.
It means that I am going to become an ageless goddess, just like the chapter says. I am going to, live my life to the fullest and do what I need to do to take care of myself. So in the next 50 some years, and so I'm living to be 100 and some, and I'm going to be out there dancing and having the time of my life and traveling and enjoying myself and playing with grandkids someday.
Aww, I love that. Katie, what about you, hon? What does becoming an unstoppable woman in health and wellness mean to you?
It means creating a place for women to come and grow together and feel safe and to thrive, because that's what the chapter is, surviving to thriving, and helping women go from overworked, overstressed, under eating, doing too much, but not getting the results, to getting to enjoy their life, not being so stressed out, and moving into thriving, and then living that, because I come from an anorexic background and I come from an overworked background and an abusive background, and staying out of that surviving mentality and staying in the thriving mentality and helping other women get there. One, by living it by example, and then two, creating the community and the space for women to come and do that and find that place where they feel safe to talk about anything they've experienced, or just the nuances of being a woman that for so many years we've been told is like a taboo topic and things we don't talk about. And so no longer being treated like little men, but helping women become empowered to fuel their bodies, not just fill their bodies.
Yeah, I love that.
Thanks.
Michelle, what does becoming an unstoppable woman in health and wellness mean to you?
So to me, it is two things. It's learning from my past experience and the gratitude that I feel for having been able to stop and listen to the birds and feel the sun in my face, where a lot of executives don't have. A lot of leaders out there, they either get a heart attack or they get an aneurysm or they get in a car accident. There's something that the world, the universe, life will say, you have to stop. To me, the learning of that and the gratitude of having been able to stop myself without any of those really bad things happening, and then being able to share with other women that it's okay to stop holding the world.
Mm,
You stop
yep.
holding the world, and the world keeps spinning at work, at home, with your extended family, with anything that you do. It's okay. And to be able to realize that the people that are around you and the people that you've led so far and those you have inspired to do great things, they can take the lead for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's totally fine to know when to let go and just watch it spin. It's magical.
No, I love that. And that was kind of a little bit of a direction I was going to go with answering it, with becoming, what does becoming an unstoppable woman in health and wellness mean to me? Um, I think focusing on my health and my wellness has been something that's been really important to me over the last, 2022. And I've actually been working on my intention list for 2023, to go deeper in that. But for me, becoming an unstoppable woman in health and wellness is really giving myself the permission to be who I want to be and do what I want to do, and not feel like I have to keep the world spinning and that it all falls on me to make that happen. And that if I decide to say no, or if I decide to walk away, or if I decide not to put so much time into this one thing and more energy in this other, right? Time and energy, that it's okay. And giving myself the permission to do that, because in doing that, I've noticed that my mental health, my mind is more clear, but then my body and my soul is more fulfilled. So that was how I was going to answer that question. So you ladies are wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on the panel. If you have any closing comments that you'd like to say, anybody, before we wrap up? No? Okay. So, for all of you wonderful people that are listening to us tonight, our book, Becoming an Unstoppable Woman in Health and Wellness, released December 13th. So, just a couple of weeks ago on Amazon. You can go ahead and visit that Amazon to buy your copy. Again, with 2022 coming to an end and us rolling into 2023, what better way than to not wait till 2023 to heal your mind, body, and soul? That you can actually do that right now, today. And we are here to help serve you and provide you with as much information. All of us co-authors that wrote in this book are here to serve and help you not just end your year with a bang, but go into 2023 with an explosion of just pure awesomeness, I guess, is the only words that can come to my mind. So with that, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Again, Michelle, Katie, and Kim, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you,
And
Nicole.
you're welcome. And with all of that, I hope all of you have a wonderful evening. And if you celebrate the new year, Happy New Year's, and we'll see you in 2023. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.